degrees. Indianapolis Center, do you have any test operations restricted area 2508?
Aries 31, roger. Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion, over.
Roger, Aries 31. Continue descent at your discretion, over.
Okay, Center. The traffic is approaching head-on, ultra bright, and really moving. They're right by us right now.
There are 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. military has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies them as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us now as Mack, Wanwan, and Commander Cobra explore these unsolved cases, UFO incidents that baffle even the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a show we have for you tonight. But first, let me introduce the members of the posse/party. Girls, get ready. Sit yourselves down, get the mist of the fan, the big box of Kleenex, and the economy pack of wipes. Because they're very famous.
Why the economy pack?
I don't know. Just try to shake it up, you know?
I was thinking extra large.
Do I have to start over? Should I start over? Okay. The very famous Wan is here.
Hello, everybody. Hello, girls. Thanks for tuning in again. Another fabulous show. Right from the beginning, too.
Right off the bat.
We keep extra tabs on how long, particularly the young ladies or ladies of any age are on the show, right? As far as listening, do we have a metric for that?
Coco always says, when you're digging a hole, stop. Right?
I thought we did.
Anyway, speaking of Coco, up there in the Great White North, wearing a hunter's hat in his compound.
And his face well lit, too, by
true.
His computer screen.
They know it's Coco on the street, but we know him as Commander Cobra. Coco, how you doing? There he is with the salute. Coco. Let's salute him.
Gentlemen, as always,
what happened to that?
A pleasure to join the formation. Thank you, Club. Actually, excellent.
Okay.
Salute there, sir.
So what's with the hat there, so you don't get shot in the winter?
Well, it's early hunting here up in the Great Territories of the Northeast, otherwise known as Maine.
Yes.
And I have a lot of hunters that like to cross into my lands, and I like to give them at least the opportunity not to shoot me.
Right, okay. That's big
by wearing the proper garments.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready now to start upping the programs a tiny bit, and I will start now chasing them.
I would
since they don't like.
I'd walk around in a full orange suit. But I'd bring a gun. That would confuse them and scare them. Hey, listen.
You don't post the place, do you?
Do you? You patrol the place?
It's going to be posted this year because I'm tired of being a nice neighbor about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm going to put a little can on the side of the road. It's going to say, "Hunters, why don't you pay for my property taxes?" And then we'll talk about you using my land.
That's good. They'll understand that. They won't be mad at that at all.
That's a good idea.
Right.
And you know what? The deer love me. They know this place is Switzerland, so it's cool.
Oh, it's really? Yeah.
So if they feel safe in that area, you really should be posting it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Should we move on, girls, or what?
Let's go.
I'm sorry.
I get sentimental over animals.
Up there.
Up there. Somewhere over the rainbow.
In the Bowl of Flakes. Battle Creek, Michigan, is our national correspondent, Switchblade Steve Ward. Switchy, help us.
Hey, Switch, you there?
You mean the Battle Creek of the Republic?
Whatever.
That's right.
Yes, right. Yep. How you doing there tonight,
Yes,
Switch?
great.
Downwind from the cereal factory.
And it's great to be here.
Once again, Wani.
Sorry.
Steps all over your intro. Everything good with you?
Yes.
Switchy?
Yes, way beyond wonderful.
Way beyond wonderful. Okay, that's the the sequel to the autobiography. Let me move on.
He's always upbeat.
He is. What's the matter with him?
He's like Mr. Rogers on steroids.
Really? All right, we better move on. Tonight, security chief is here. Our security chief is here. Willy Clubb down in beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts. Mr. Clubb, how are you doing?
You know, I'm really doing great tonight, Mac. I feel so good.
Yes.
I'm going to jump in head first tonight. I'm just ready to go.
Wow, huh? Okay.
Always check the depth of the water, buddy.
Into the
Always
chalice.
check the depth of the bowl.
Yeah, it could be shallow or very deep. We don't know yet. But I got to tell you one thing. He dignifies the show just the way he looks.
Yeah, I know it.
We were just saying off here, you could run for president, and who knows what would happen.
He's the equivalent of a British voice on NPR, dignifying the
Interesting.
show.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? Want to do it?
I thought we were watching Touched by an Angel.
Ooh,
Yeah. We don't know what that means, but
I'll take all the praise I can get.
Speaking
He's
of
the guy you meet at the pearly gates with that white suit on.
Oh, okay. Speaking of angels, a good
David
friend,
Mack.
Jill Hansen, is with us. Hi, Jill. How are you doing?
Hi, Mac. Doing great. Sounds like everyone else is doing great,
Hi,
great,
Jill.
great.
We're doing
So
awesome.
happy to be here.
Okay. Can we say you sound like an angel, or is that crossing the line?
If whatever, I mean, you're in charge of your descriptors. So
Well,
Yes, it
if,
sounds.
that's what I sound like to you.
You
then
sound like you're
I'll
talking
take
from
it.
a large room.
oh, there's a lot of interpretation that could go into that. But listen, so now we're here, the gang, and we're going to be talking about a number of interesting things tonight. Coming up in a little while, we're going to be talking to our good friend Phil Orbanes, who is the owner of the company that makes Monopoly, Risk, Ouija boards, the works. Okay, it's called Winning Moves. But he's Mr. Monopoly. He's the world's best player in Monopoly. And but he also knows a lot about the history of Monopoly. And as it turns out, Monopoly and spies during World War II are very closely associated, with each other. Who knows why? He's been on a few times telling us about it, and it's the third installment. Top Hat, a spy who actually betrayed England, I guess, but he was just so arrogant that he wanted to be known as Top Hat.
Over the Monopoly piece?
Yes, right, and that's how they caught him. Anyway, so Phil Orbanes will be coming up, and also Jim Frenkel, our good friend from the publishing world, is going to be joining us. So should be a lot of fun. Coco, you're going to be giving us a special report on the latest in secret weapons?
Something like that.
Okay, you look stunned there for a minute. Okay,
Something
all
old,
right.
something new.
Sounds good.
Tonight. Something old, something new.
Really? Okay, listen, why don't we salute him? We haven't saluted him in a long time, and I'm kind of getting the vibe that we should. Okay, you ready there?
I'm way out of practice.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's
well-
okay.
No, it's okay.
My
Don't-
lawyers will be talking to your
don't,
lawyers.
that's what we're trying to-
that boat is long since sailed.
We're trying to avoid that. Okay, JJ, call it off,
I'm
please.
going to sink that boat.
Go. You ready?
10 hut.
Wow. Okay, yeah. All right. Switchy little.
No, he didn't like it. He didn't like it.
No. Okay.
We're out of practice. Wicked bad.
Listen, why don't we get talking about switchy? Why don't we just get-
If I did a salute like that in boot camp, I'd be asmoed back a week, right? Isn't that the right word for it?
Is that the word?
Asmo? I think what that
I don't know.
stood
No,
for.
I think they just call it sliding now. But
Okay, it's another language. Sounds like Klingon. All right, let's just get this out of the way. I don't want to say that, but it's a ratings bonanza switchy. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like a bowl of cereal behind him. But anyway, please tell America, what did you tell the world, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, this morning I had, see if I can get the right thing here for the background, which of course the audience can't see.
Okay.
Can't find it.
Well, you're keeping them in suspense.
There it is. There it is.
Okay. Oh.
What I had was a heaping bowl of sugar frosted flakes.
There
Yes.
you go.
All right, that's good to hear.
You're down. You live downwind from the place, right?
Okay,
Where
go
you make them?
ahead. Okay, go ahead. 2% milk?
2% milk,
Yep. Black
hot
coffee.
black coffee.
Okay, cool. Wow, huh? Okay. And, I'm curious what you have for lunch.
For lunch? Is that what you said?
I'm going to guess.
I missed it.
A tuna fish sandwich. What you have for lunch? Did you go to Denny's or anything?
Let's see. I had 2 hot dogs with cheese on them.
Yeah, there you go. Wani.
Hey,
Man,
no.
after your own heart.
And mustard.
I'm
I
thinking,
like that.
Sir Mack, that maybe what we need to do is expand the universe of Distant Thunder Network.
Go ahead.
And have Switchy put together a diet plan.
A diet book. How about a book?
A real diet plan.
Yes. The
Create a new
switchy
book. There you go.
The switchy diet. Yeah, go ahead.
Good idea.
So like
Joe.
hotcakes on Amazon.
The Switchy diet.
The switchy
It would.
diet. Okay. Just eat donuts all day.
They're going to make a play like they did the Scarsborough diet.
Hey, Kellogg's would love him.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He died in jail, yeah.
He's
Mr.
dead.
Skarsgård.
No, she killed
Didn't he
him.
get shot?
Died because his
Yeah.
His
girlfriend,
wife killed him.
Yeah, that's right.
his girlfriend shot him.
What a great story.
Right.
But the gun just went off, and it kept going off, and it was a revolver.
Right. She paused once to reload. Yeah. Okay, listen.
Wow.
Speaking of that,
How do we get on that subject?
I don't know. Willy Clubb, a security expert, is with us tonight. And as you know, Willie goes through anything that is sent to us electronically or through the mail.
Great scene, by the way, there.
And most of the time that he gets the physical boxes of it, he has to submerge them for 30 days to make sure everything is copacetic inside. But I think tonight we have fan mail. Is that true, Mr. Clubb?
Yeah, Mac, as you know, we've had trouble with the tank that we use to submerge them in. So I haven't been able to find another tank big enough.
Big enough. It's a size problem.
So it's all just sitting out back. So, yeah, tonight I'm just going to share a few emails. We, as you know, we get so much positive email that I thought tonight I'd give a sort of a combination of few examples of not only the good stuff, but some of the other stuff we get. And so that
you're going to have both.
Listeners will understand that we get both sides of it.
The yin and yang.
Right.
So what I'd like to do, I just wanted to let you know, I know, Mac, I didn't give you a heads up on this beforehand. Because I know you like things to stay happy, but I think once in a while we got to share different opinions.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Go ahead.
All right, well, let's start off with, this one is, hey, Mac, that was an interesting show you guys did on appearances of the Blessed Virgin Mary, but you forgot to include the apparition of the Virgin Mary to Polly Walnuts at the Bada Bing Strip Club.
Remember that episode?
I don't.
Oh,
yeah. Who wrote that letter?
Cab Company.
I jumped right on. Who wrote that letter there, Club?
Yeah, that was Juan's Uncle Vinny. He's over at the Boston Cab.
Remember Uncle Vinny? Yeah, the only cab driver has a super yacht.
That was my Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. I'm sorry. Wasn't he Vinny's brother? Did they call him Vinny ever?
Actually, they were cousins, I think.
Well, he wrote in here Vinny. He got two names?
Yeah, they're cousins. Who knows? But The Sopranos was one of the best shows ever, and I saw it on reruns. But, you could have very easily taken a laugh track and put it on there, and it would have fit. Because some of the stuff is just so funny. It's weird that it's about the mob. So, anyway, okay, next fan letter, please.
Comedy about the mob.
Yeah, right.
And comedy about a Nazi concentration camp.
There you go. How do you pitch them? Next one, please. Next fan letter.
Hey, boss, I get this idea. You see, this is concentration camp.
All right, well, our next letter tells me here, let me start by saying that I download your podcast every week.
Great.
That said, how many times do you have to introduce the panel? I already skipped the first 15 minutes. Yet I may increase up to 20 minutes.
Up to 20.
There you go. But
can't avoid the Ray introductions for each segment. Your 2-hour show would wind up being 45 minutes as a result.
That's
guy's got a point.
Though.
Good.
Best regard, Teddy. Coco's Building Hot.
Oh. He does have the speakers in the stall. And is that true? You have the speakers still in the stable there, Coco?
That is correct. They enjoy their Wi-Fi.
Teddy.
Should we emphasize that they said they love switching?
Oh, that's right. They did say love switch. You and Teddy. Did you guys meet? Did you meet when you were wrestling?
Underscore that. Okay. In case Bill didn't hear it.
Next one, please. Club, our security agent. Willy Clubb.
Well, Mr. Maloney, thanks for an actual military X-Files show complete with Steve Ward report instead of the usual juvenile, dirty old man dribble. Let's hope that continues.
Yikes.
Signed, Mothman.
Oh, wait. Does he want it to continue?
Is it time?
Mothman.
Mothman is,
your friend, Mothman.
There.
Good. Yep.
Yeah, he's the closest personal friends.
There's a postmark on that.
Switch, you're good friends with Mothman.
You have a postmark on that? I'm just curious where he deposited.
Yeah, it's got a postmark. It looks like something in Pennsylvania.
There you go.
That's perfect.
He's on vacation. Jill, are you still with us? I think Jill left us a long time ago.
No, I'm here. I'm just muted because I have some background distractions I don't want everyone to hear.
Oh,
really?
Please, bring him in.
Save the show. Keep your mic on.
It can only help.
All right, cool.
Hey, everybody shut up. I want to hear what Jill's background noises are.
Let's listen.
It's my dog.
Oh, man, I love dogs.
Yeah, we all love dogs.
I have dachshunds.
Okay.
Yeah, she apparently has a lot to say.
Oh, really? Yeah. What kind of dog? Not that we have to kill 6 minutes.
What kind of dog?
She is a mini pincher Chihuahua mix.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Nice.
Little girl.
Where do you put the batteries?
Be nice.
Chihuahuas
are the cutest things.
I know. Sorry. Okay. When we get back to
she's
okay.
whip smart.
Good. Okay.
That's good.
They all are.
Smarter than dachshunds?
Willy Clubb, our security agent, is now reading our fan letters. Thank you for going the other way, if you know what I mean there, for giving us the yang instead of the yin.
No, but it was in a polite way.
We can only be educated by it, by hearing the
Nobody's
negative.
being mean.
Not yet.
No, and I still consider them fans.
Okay.
I think they're critiques. You know, in my position, I have to look at it a little bit different than you would, Mac.
Okay.
You know? I have to be more open.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, please. We can take it, I think.
Well, I got another one here. It says, "Hey, Mac, really, who gives an F what Switch had for breakfast?"
Wow. Come on. Jesus Christ.
I believe that one, too.
I only read them as they come in.
Obviously, no appreciation for art right there.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Who wrote that?
Well, it's something about it. It looks like he does cleanup work at Sweetwater Donut.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's the guy. A little jealousy there. Showbiz. Okay. All right. I guess we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, I'll do one more, Mac. I know time is. For the final letter, I'll cover this. And they say, "Dear Mac, I can do without the sophomoric comments from your female guests. I know that cancel culture is a thing. But I don't know how you avoid sex abuse lawsuits. That said, I won't even delve into, page 2, your man love for Wan.
Wow.
I can also do without."
Oh, Jesus.
Holy moly.
Who wrote that?
I hate to tell you.
Can I make a quick remark?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can tell you why we don't have any sexual abuse situations, because there's no one's been sexually abused.
Oh.
Sexual harassment, I believe, is what the writer was possibly interested in.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. He's our lawyer.
Well, let's get our felonies and our misdemeanors straight,
right.
Okay?
Good for you, Coco. Please.
Well, you know, as I say, I'm only, don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, you're the reporter. You
look like Whitey.
Oh, wait
you
a
look
minute.
like Whitey, buddy, and you're talking felonies, okay?
Yeah, you know what's coming up.
How you doing?
Yeah. Who wrote that?
Anyway, I think the important thing
Good thing
about
Jill's
this,
camera's not
Mac,
working.
is this says, "Love, Mom."
Oh, wow, Mom. Send me.
She does, but she has a P.S. there. Kisses to Coco.
Kisses to Coco.
Always kisses to
Wow.
Coco. I'm sick of it.
Thank you, Mom.
I'm always do well with mothers.
Yeah, really? Yeah? Okay, that's
Mothers
another
and aunts.
That's another show. Thank you.
Back in the dating game days,
okay.
Absolutely. Always get charmed with mothers.
TMI there, Coco. So why don't we do this? Should we take a break? Looking at Juan like he should know. Why don't we do that? Why don't we take a break now? And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Everybody is here, and we'll be right back after this.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They're even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft? Or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a show we have for you tonight. But let me first quickly reintroduce the members of the posse. First, girls, you've been pre-warned. The very famous 1-1 is here.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls and guys, and all those ships at sea.
Can we invent a new word? It would be pre-warned.
Yeah, or I'm the only one here.
Well, Prejuan.
Oh, you mean spell it weird? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, pre-warning? No.
Nah, I like it.
Okay.
Like Juan Valdez, the coffee guy. Did he ever change his name?
Do you still get mad when people write to you and it's WAN, WAN?
Yeah, no, it happens.
That's WAN. What is it?
It's better than being called Jane.
Jane, okay. That's all right. There you go, kids.
That was happening in school.
Really?
Jane Paredes, please.
Really? On the mean streets of Chelmsford? Yeah. Anyway, speak about the mean streets. Let's go up to Maine, where there's soon to be white mean streets, apparently. Commander Cobra, how you doing?
Evening, gentlemen. As always, great to join the formation. Get on the wing.
Mm-hmm. Chicken wing. Okay.
Protect the six of the show, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
Yeah, no, we don't know.
Is that Cobra talk again?
Loyal wingman. I guess it's more of that code stuff.
Code, good.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
For that very secret, silent group of Mack Maloney's Military X-Files listeners that listen for the magic code words from me.
Okay. All right.
My decoder ring doesn't work as good as you guys. I think I get a new one, or
I lost mine.
Batteries or something.
Speaking of code, that's the only gesundheit I can think of up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. The Battle Creek of the Republic. A big bowl of frosted flakes into the dash. National correspondent Switchblade, Steve Ward.
It is wonderful to be here with all of you tonight.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good to see you, Switch.
I suppose now's the time, very quickly, just to ask you about the background. Usually you have some kind of gruesome science fiction thing happening, but you have looks like puppies.
Well, that way people will think I'm a nice guy.
Okay, go ahead. Good disguise.
It works.
Disinformation.
Are those your puppies?
Yeah, I feel like there is. Yeah.
Think, he must
Chicks dig it. Chicks dig it.
Okay, chicks dig it. That's
See,
all
it's
you need to
working
have.
well.
Wow. Listen, our security chief is here tonight, so we have to kind of watch ourselves. Willy Clubb down there in beautiful Methuen, Massachusetts. Willie, how you doing?
Well, hi, Mac. Hi, folks. Doing great. Mac, well, we're talking about security. Just want to let you know I got a directive today.
Yes.
Since we do use Zoom, that we're all required to keep our hands above the table.
So I heard about that.
Well, yeah, okay. All right. Damn.
Is that because you don't want us to
apply equally to me?
What's
yes,
that, Jill?
All folks.
Okay.
All right.
I wasn't sure if there was a,
We're still not sure. But anyway, thank you, Willie.
Yeah, the Zoom police will be checking
for
in.
that, the Z police. The voice you heard, the voice of an angel, as our good friend Jill Hansen, the psychic. Jill, how you doing?
Hi, Jill.
Doing great, Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, very glad to be here with you guys once again.
Where are your hands, Jill?
I'm petting my cat.
Well,
Oh my God.
Literally petting my cat.
I win a prize for that.
That's unacceptable.
It's like Johnny Carson. Where's Raquel Welch?
Right.
I have.
Wow.
Cobra, I think it was Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Raquel Welch. You want to put money on it?
Hey, listen.
Yes.
Well,
Look it up.
well, you guys talk about the
You guys
vet.
caught me. You got me.
I'm just
Got me
thinking.
petting my cat.
There's our blooper of the month. Thank you.
Ouch. Did you flag
Still
that
too
tape?
There's a
Well,
million
you know what?
questions.
Jill's going to be getting letters now.
I was going to say there's a million questions going through my head.
Wait, I get none for myself. So
No. Listen, trying to bring us back down to earth as our good friend Phil Orbanes is joining us. Phil, how you doing tonight, Phil?
Excellent.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Phil is an expert in many, many things. He's the world's expert in Monopoly, for one thing. He is the founder, creator, owner of Winning Moves. They manufacture a number of games, including Risk, certain forms of Monopoly, Ouija boards. What else, Phil?
Blue, Sorry, Big Boggle, and we also make the Rubik's Cube.
You make the Rubik's Cube.
Oh, the insane Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
No, we sell it. It's not made by us directly, but we have the marketing rights in North America for specialty retailing.
Phil was nice enough.
Do you guys
to
have Slinky, too?
Slinky?
It would be great to have Slinky.
Slinky,
Wouldn't it? I can't.
That was invented by that was invented by an engineer working for the Navy after World War II.
I believe it.
Wow.
I believe it.
He was working on,
What the hell was he trying to invent?
Was he in the spring business or something, or what?
He was doing something with gyroscopes.
Well,
it is so cool, Sleeky.
Well,
it's kind of a one-way toy to me, but it's just
really one-way toy. Yeah.
We all had some fun with it for a little while.
But they don't go back up the stairs themselves.
Right. If you can have it go up the stairs, then you got something.
Assumed you lived in a house that had stairs at a second floor, and...
But you have an elevator?
Fortunately, we did.
You have a dirt floor?
Wow. Listen. We move on.
I lived in a 3-story house in Cambridge, so don't give me any crap.
Cambridge. Anyway, so Phil, as it turns out that we've been talking for the past couple months, you've joined us a few times talking about how Monopoly actually had, not a little, but a lot to do with espionage and so on and so forth during World War II, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So tonight you're going to tell us about the worst traitor to the British cause in World War II? Was he British?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
he was British.
Phil Orbanes about how Monopoly, the game Monopoly, had a big effect on spies during World War II. Phil, thanks.
Okay, well, in the first 2 segments, we talked about how Monopoly was used to smuggle escape aids to POWs under the eyes of the German censors in World War II. The Germans never caught on. It worked brilliantly. We also talked about how the Monopoly game board was used brilliantly to compose a secret code that permitted 2 bridge masters to communicate back and forth with a dissident KGB agent in Moscow. And tonight, we're going to turn our attention to the worst British turncoat of World War II. It's amazing to me that he is not better known, because Harold Cole could easily fill a James Bond novel. As a matter of fact, his story is so breathtaking, it occupies 4 chapters in my forthcoming book, Monopoly X. And I'm going to try to highlight his exploits in the next 35 minutes.
Sounds good.
As I mentioned, Harold Cole was undoubtedly the worst traitor of the war. He looms large in the story of Monopoly X because he just happened to be an avid Monopoly player who fancied himself as the game's top hat, the top hat token. It seems that Cole always aspired to be seen as well-heeled and upper class, but in fact, he was born into a broken home in a hardscrabble Cockney neighborhood of London. And beginning in his teens, after he conveniently dropped out of school, he started to pool con jobs. Usually among the wealthy, he figured if they had money, it was just a matter of him persuading them to part with it. It didn't always work, and he ended up in jail several times before suddenly he shows up in a recruitment line for the Royal Engineers in late 1939 with war looming. He was 33 years old at the time, and that meant he was a lot more experienced in life than a lot of the kids out of, the equivalent of high school who were joining. Why did he join the Army? Well, it seemed he wanted redemption. I mean, by then, he had quite a reputation, and incidentally, he made sure to get very far from London when he signed up. So the Royal Engineers were up more in the Midlands, and they didn't know him up there. By then, he was an accomplished operator. He easily won the affection of women and the admiration of unsuspecting men. And what did he look like? Well, Cole was tall, slender, ginger-haired, had a high forehead, beady-eyed, and he wore a thin mustache. But women fell for him because he could really work his charm, and they liked his hungry, lean appearance. And that'll come into our story a little bit later. So the following year, the British Expeditionary Force is shipped to Lille, and by then, Cole, who can ingratiate himself to authority, has moved right up to the rank of sergeant. And now let's fast forward to the German Blitzkrieg to get into the heart of the action. So we all know about the evacuation at Dunkirk, and about 400,000 British and French soldiers were rescued, but the rear guard of the British Expeditionary Force had to be left behind. And surrender seemed inevitable for these 40,000 men, one of whom was Harold Cole, who had been locked up in a military jail for robbing the sergeant's mess fund. So he couldn't restrain himself. But they set him loose during the retreat, and he was among 2,000 British warriors who took the ground and eluded the Germans. And the reason they were able to do this is because they had been billeted by French families in northern France prior to the German Blitzkrieg. And for the most part, they went back to these families who hid them. Now, Cole's story at this point is best told in 5 unfolding phases, in which he's going to go from saint to sinner to infamous legend. So phase 1, he's a hero. So while he is gone to ground and hiding, and the German infantry is pouring past northern France every day to catch up with the armor, he becomes aware that he's not alone, that there's hundreds of fellow officers stranded in the same town, which is Lille. And these soldiers felt, it's just a matter of a few months perhaps before the war is over, so maybe they can hunker down and hide. How long could it take? Well, the short way across the channel was out of the question, and those who decided they didn't want to hunker down had only one other choice, and that was somehow to get from northern France to Paris and then make it down to the French southern seacoast in Vichy, France. Germany very quickly won the Blitz. France surrendered, and the entire country of France was divided into, in effect, 4 zones, one of which was the Forbidden Zone along the coast, which made it pretty darn difficult to try to escape by boat. The Free Zone in southern France, also known as Vichy, France, because that's where the seat of government was in the town of Vichy, about 250 miles south of Paris. You had a better chance there, even though the French leaders in that zone aligned with the Germans. So Cole was inspired by a Great War widow who every day would lead 3 or 4 stranded soldiers disguised as civilians to the train station in Lille, send them down to Paris, where friends picked them up and took them to Marseille. In Marseille, there was an escape line that would then escort them to Spain. German security had not yet caught up with the conquest. So for a while, it wasn't difficult at all to make your way through German lines to get down to France. But by August, the ever-efficient German security force has pretty much come to set up control, and they are very much on the lookout for evaders and escapers. An evader, by the way, is someone who is on the ground and is trying to get home. An escaper is someone who's managed to get out of a prison camp and is trying to get home. Well, Cole, being 33 years old and having this marvelous, if you will, appropriate con job experience, his criminal experience, he finds that he is pretty good at evading the Germans. And so the first phase of Cole's existence, he's a hero. Every 2 weeks, he brings 10 to 14 soldiers to Paris, and then he goes back to Lille, France, and he does it again and again. But by, let's say, the 3rd or 4th time he does it, he feels that he can take his charges with him all the way to Marseille. And when he does it, he comes to the attention of the big escape line centered in Marseille called the Garrow Line, named after a Scottish officer named Ian Garrow who was organized it. And Garrow learns that not only is there this brave hero, this captain, Paul Cole is now his name, or at least the name he's going by, but his helpers revere him for his bravado and his smoothness. And one of them actually goes into a field and takes the top hat off of a scarecrow and presents it to him as a tribute because they know Cole likes to be called the top hat. Well, as the British soldiers in Lille are gradually taken down to Marseille, they are replaced by downed British flyers, shot down in the Battle of Britain. And now I'm going to give you a couple of incidents to show you just how Cole operated during his so-called hero phase. So one Spitfire pilot, he's a first lieutenant named Dennis Crowley Miller, and he used his control column very adeptly to bring his powerless plane out of a dive after it was hit. He slides across an open field. He's preserved, and he follows the advice that he was given by MI9. And if you may remember from prior episodes, MI9 is British military, intelligence section 9, responsible for evasion and escapes. And they can't tell the airmen the names of escape line helpers. That's too dangerous. But they say, seek out farmhouses, go to churches, maybe a town doctor. They'll get you to an escape line. Well, Crowley Miller evades for a week. He's turned over to a blacksmith who takes him to meet Captain Paul Cole. And Cole, upon hearing Crowley Miller's tale of how he used his control column to save his life, he nicknames this guy Stick. And Stick is now taken with a couple of others by Cole through Paris and on to Marseille. And Stick realizes that Cole sticks out like a sore thumb.
Boom.
He's obviously British, given his manners, what he looks like, and his atrocious Cockney accent and pronunciation of French, which he glibly speaks in front of the Germans, but he's completely fearless.
Okay.
And when they're on a train, for example, and Cole gets hungry, he takes Stick to the dining car. They get seated across from two German officers who don't really seem to pay much attention. Cole summons the waiter in his atrocious French, but lo and behold, he gets Stick to Marseille, and he is just absolutely amazed by this guy's aplomb. My favorite story, though, comes about the following July when he's escorting a down squadron leader named Higginson to Marseille. And Higginson, by the way, was a bona fide hero. He had shot down 13 German aircraft. And Cole had a lot of good contacts in Lille to get forged documents. So from a priest named Carpentier, he gets documents for Higginson saying, this man has an unsound mind and cannot function. So as they are approaching the division between German-occupied northern France, and they have to go through security, they're stopped. And Cole presents Higginson's forged papers. And he's told Higginson, who's carrying a briefcase, by the way, whatever you do, just don't say anything, because you're supposed to be dumb. So the security guard looks at the papers and says, you know, I've seen a lot of very healthy English-looking characters of late claiming to be not of sound mind and dumb. I want to see what's in this man's briefcase. Cole, meanwhile, has got his own briefcase, which they're not questioning, which, by the way, happens to have stolen Wehrmacht war plans in it. But they just put that aside.
Wow.
And he asked, Cole, open this guy's briefcase. I want to see what he's carrying. Well, it's a hot summer day. It's summertime. Well, what does Higginson got inside? On the very bottom of his cape, he has his escape kits and all his British papers. On top of that, he's got his clothes. And on top of his clothes, he has a big slab of chocolate. So when Cole dutifully opens the briefcase, they notice the chocolate has melted. And Cole immediately works a con. He says, see what I told you? This man has shat in his briefcase. I told you he was out of his mind. And the German repels, winces in disgust, and says, get out of here. And so on they go.
Wow. It's the old melted chocolate trick.
This is where the cold and con, this is where the cold and con actually worked. But unfortunately, Cole had two demons, women and money. And it was just a matter of time before his demons rear up and he goes from saint to sinner.
Okay, so why don't we wait for the punchline? We'll take a commercial break now, and we'll be right back after this. And you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-File show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Who's flying ghost airplanes over the city of Los Angeles? Why are the Northern Lights appearing over America in the daytime? How can an entire fleet of warships suddenly disappear at sea? Find out in Mack Maloney's new book, Battle of the Wingmen, number 20 in the best-selling Wingman series. Follow the adventures of Hawk Hunter as he and his friends sail the world's largest aircraft carrier into the vast unknown. Can Hawk save America from an attack by a mysterious Asian army? Who is the mysterious redhead haunting his dreams? And who will win the dogfight of the century? Who is the best fighter pilot in the world? Who really is Top Gun? Find out in Wingman number 20, Battle of the Wingmen by Mack Maloney. On sale now on Amazon and at bookstores everywhere.
And I just kept going on and on about myself. I'm taking a leak in the driveway. He says, I know you'd like to talk to total stranger. The story's got nothing to do with the Bruins game. It's what happened with Grandma. I was wondering if those were sadomasochism straps or something. But I digress. From what? I don't know.
Get into the beautiful mind of Wan Wan, only on the Mack Maloney Military X-Files Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Wow, what a show. We are in the middle of, so let me very quickly introduce everyone here at the party. Girls very famous, Wan is here.
Hello, Mac. How's it going? Good time so far.
The equally famous Commander Cobra is here.
On the wing, Mac.
Mm-hmm. The chicken wing. Steve
and he
Wall.
never runs out of fuel either.
National correspondent up there at Battle Creek is with us, Switchy.
I'm on the ground, and it's great to be here.
He's on the ground.
The bowl of flakes and the most famous governor of all time.
There you go. Security Club, Willy Clubb is with us. Willie, how you doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Great, folks. It's not a big night tonight. There's so much going on.
Maybe that fan...
He's been funny so far.
Maybe the fan has had a point there. But anyway, our favorite psychic down in Austin, Texas, the coolest city in Texas.
It's wicked cool.
Jill Hansen. Jill, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
Hey, Jill. Hey, did they have
What's the psychic stuff?
I don't know. I just had to get you in on a psychic.
Do you know something about me that I'm not quite in tune with?
Well, then I'd be a psychic.
Jill, did they have the Stevie Ray Vaughan celebration down there already, or is that still coming up?
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Famous
I
guitar
haven't
player.
heard of it yet. I've only been here since May.
Okay.
So,
okay. Taking a while to settle
I'm
in.
admittedly not really looking to go to anything yet.
No,
so
why would we do that?
I haven't heard anything.
Let me go down the Hollywood squares here. Phil Orbanes. Phil. Down in beautiful Magnolia, Mass. Right there on the water.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Phil is the...
it's a great area.
Yeah. Owner, creator of Winning Moves. Makes all your classic board games like Risk, Monopoly. They also sell the Rubik's Cube. Phil was nice enough to send a care package of his stuff, which we will divide up at one point.
Oh, we will?
But he sent me a Rubik's Cube, and I looked at it and I said, I don't have the patience to be frustrated. You know what I mean?
That thing drove me crazy.
Shocking to hear that. Shocking to hear that.
There's kids out there that can do it in 5 seconds, or maybe less. Who knows?
Screw those little kids. Hey, listen. Let's get to...
You got to wonder what's in their brain that allows them to do that.
I don't want to know about that. Let's introduce someone who just came on the wing. Speaking about the wing, Jim Frenkel out there in Arizona, my editor, my former editor. Are you always an editor? Like winning the Gold Glove? Do you always have the Gold Glove? Are you always someone's editor?
An agent too. I edit for clients sometimes when they want it or need it.
Yes, we found that out.
Or both.
About 10 years ago,
I'm still cold from coming in from the outside here in Arizona, where it's suddenly 30 degrees, 40 degrees colder than it was.
Really?
That's insane. So what's it down to, 60?
Yeah, it's down to 67.
Same here.
Right.
It's down to, last night it was down to 36.
Wow, Arizona.
Wow. There must be something to that global warming.
It's like Michigan.
A long time
in
ago.
the desert.
There you go. 10 years ago.
And it's like 60 degrees right now.
Jim and I did a series together called The Pirate Hunters. The Pirate Hunters. And we, for about 3 years, there was this shared adventure together.
Oh, really? Do we need to go there?
It was fun.
I used to have a voodoo doll with Jim's picture on it. And I would put unbelievably big pins in there.
I wondered why my hip would hurt occasionally.
That was it. That was me.
I had Pirate Hunter post patches all over the Mideast when that series came out.
It turned out we had a lot of fans around the world. Right.
I have one on my jacket.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. So,
Jill, is there such a thing as voodoo dolls?
You would know.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. It's a real thing.
Hey, all that time wasn't wasted.
Wow. I mean, I've seen it, heard of it.
Are you surprised?
Kind of. I always thought it was.
He's surprised every time he walked into a room.
You thought it was just a movie thing?
No, I heard it was part of lots of cultures, but I never really believed that there was any science behind it, or non-science, if you will. It's just kind of a religious thing.
You're surprised when the check.
The sound of a shovel when you're digging a hole.
There we go. Right.
Nonsense.
So, Phil is telling us tonight about the Top Hat affair. Britain's worst traitor during World War II, and it's all connected to the game Monopoly. And your book is coming out soon. It's called Monopoly X. Is that right, Phil?
That's all correct. Thank you.
Okay. Now, so what we're talking about is this, the gentleman's name who was the worst traitor to England. His last name is Cole.
Right, and his first name officially is Harold, but by this point in the war, he's going by Paul, and he has self-promoted himself from a sergeant to a captain. He is a hero for about a year, but then his two demons get the best of him, women and money, and Cole realizes that it takes money to get a evader from Belgium or northern France down to Marseille. You need bribes, you need ticket money, you need money for disguises. And he convinces the leaders of this escape line, which is known as the Pat O'Leary line, or the Pat line for short, to provide money to him to make these purchases. Meanwhile, the northern end of the line is controlled by a guy named Duprez, who he also convinces to loan money to help him get these escapers down. And he promises each of these guys the other is going to make good. So he's burning the candle at both ends so he can entertain his women and pick up the tab for the drinks and have a great time.
Wow.
They get suspicious. They arrange a meeting. They talk to each other. They realize they've been had. They trap Cole in a hotel room, or pardon me, in an apartment in Marseille, and they're about to decide if they should execute him or not when he manages, because he's skinny, to slip through a small window, and he's gone. So
Who's after him? Who's after him?
To escape.
Who's after him?
Well, the escape line, the leaders of the escape line who realized they've been had by him monetarily.
And how did they get? I mean, how did they know they'd been had?
Because he was borrowing money from the leaders from the north and the southern end, promising that the other one was going to make good. And after a while, the two guys independently got suspicious. They met. They realized they were being caught.
Go ahead.
And they also knew that Cole was a kind of a questionable guy. Well, Cole is not only being sought after at this point by the Pat line, who's been betrayed, but by the German Abwehr. And the Abwehr gets him. They get him in Lille. They bring him into headquarters, and they say to him very succinctly, either you cooperate with us and turn and let us know who all these escape line members are that we can't find, or you're going to suffer a very cruel and slow death. Well, in about 20 seconds, Cole writes down 30 pages of names. And before you know it, the entire northern end of the Pat line is decimated by his traitorism. He is then shipped to Paris, where he does the same thing to the center of the line, but here he has a loyal girlfriend who he eventually marries. He also has the assistance of a proprietor of a restaurant not too far from Notre Dame, who doesn't know he's a traitor, and the two of them help him to actually just slip his noose, slip the grasp, I should say, of the Abwehr, and now he and his girlfriend get married, go on the run. They end up in Lyon, where, of all things, the Vichy police capture him and sentence him. The girlfriend, who's now pregnant and married, she kind of disappears from our story after this. But as it turns out, the arrest and the trial were just a sham. He's sent back to Lille and then eventually to Paris to work for the SD, which is the security arm of the SS, because the Germans just think there's nobody like him. He's much too valuable. We got to hold on to him. Cole avoids execution attempts by the British, which I outline very completely in my book. But the most important thing is that the top hat has turned against his own government. He's wreaked havoc on the escape lines, and he is holed up in Paris when the invasion begins at D-Day. And now the SS has got to evacuate Paris. They've got to go back across the German border, and they have with them a number of British captives, some of whom are wireless operators who managed to get a message off that says, Cole is alive, he's on the run, he's with the SS, he's fleeing across the German border. The last time we saw him, he was heading, I should say, toward the German border. Well, now comes what, to me, is like the most astounding indication of what a con artist Cole is. He is now with top SS leaders who are wanted for their atrocities. He is escorting them through southern Germany when they encounter the American army. Now, what would most people who are on the run and who are bad guys do at this point? They would flee, right?
I guess so.
Not Cole. Cole walks up to the Americans with his SS guys in tow, although at this point they're in civilian garb, and introduces himself as a British Secret Service.
Yeah.
He points out that he has with him innocent German police who he's supposed to take to I think he's supposed to take them to Dachau or something, he says.
Okay.
And the Americans look at him and say, well, these guys are harmless, and they let him go.
Wow.
And they turn to Cole and they say, we need someone with your experience and expertise.
Yes.
Would you mind joining the American Army? He's commissioned as a lieutenant.
Wow.
And his job in southern Germany is to hunt down Nazis on the run. And, of course, Cole has heard all the stories about how they've hoarded money and buried it.
Yep.
So he is given weapons, a team, and they go hunting for Nazis, and he's siphoning off their gold.
Wow.
That's how good this guy is until he makes the mistake of sending a postcard to one of his girlfriends in Paris, which gets intercepted. MI9 figures out that the guy who wrote the postcard under a code name is Cole. They send a team into southern Germany. They find him. There's a scuffle. They confront him, and they say, are you Harold Cole? And this imposter says, I'm not very proud of admitting it, but yes. Now he's sent back to Paris and imprisoned, and he's waiting execution. But here's the problem.
Okay.
The British, the French, the Americans, and the Belgium all want priority to get rid of this traitor their way. And during the months that he is incarcerated, he comes up with a scheme. He convinces his captors to let him borrow a typewriter and go to a particular office that has warmth so he can type his memoirs.
Okay.
One night, he just walks out with the typewriter. He purloins a top coat. He goes out the front door looking like a clerk. No one stops him. And now, once again, he's loose in Paris. By this time, the war's over. We're getting to the end of 45. What does he do? He finds out that there's plenty of contraband weapons for sale. He starts working cons, gypping American soldiers who were billeted in the area. And he goes to live with another lady friend in the top of a bar.
What?
Well, months go by, and finally the French police realize that there's somebody living in the bar who only comes out at night, and they think he is a German escaper. So they send two policemen there in mid-1946. They go up the stairs in Billy's bar, as it's known.
Billy's.
They confront Cole. There's a gun battle. Cole is shot dead. So they finally, and by the way, there's a lot more into it, but I'm just trying to do this in the interest of time. So they finally get the turncoat. And he's identified by the way, one of the people he had sent to Dachau when he, revealed all the names of the escape lines. One of the leaders had managed to survive, and he identifies the body. Cole was 16 days shy of his 40th birthday.
Wow.
But now comes the final twist.
Go ahead.
A correspondent for the Daily Mail shows up, and he, for some reason, takes some sympathy for Cole. So he now writes the story with a romantic twist. He claims that Cole knew that the French police were closing in on him, but he was so attached to the woman who had taken him in, he says, I would like to stay here one more night and share a glass of champagne.
Wow.
I'm going to leave in the morning on a train to Belgium. The delay, allegedly, according to the correspondent, cost Cole his life. And this reporter claims that the only reason why Cole did not survive the gunfight is because the woman that he loved so much was in the line of fire, and with gallantry, he could not fire. So in one fell swoop,
yes,
the Daily Mail correspondent recast Cole as a cavalier, romantic, and chivalrous anti-hero. But even this false polish, in my opinion, cannot penetrate the layers of deceit and betrayal that corroded the soul of Harold Cole, the Top Hat.
There you go. Now, listen, isn't it funny? We have
That'd
an
be a
agent.
great movie.
Wow.
What do you think,
like
Jim?
it.
Jim,
I like it.
good
Yeah.
movie, good Netflix.
Good treatment. 3 parts, 4 parts at least.
Oh, it sounds like it could be a real fun movie, Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, what an adventure.
Yeah, really. It's funny. And the fact that he's a ladies' man, and then that's what brings it to an end is interesting, too. So that was his... So, Phil, that was his downfall?
I mean, but what I don't get is, what about his wife?
Well, he had a number of them.
You mean... his knife was Warrington, and I didn't go into her story because of time. How much time do we have?
Well, I'm going to throw it to Coco because I know he has a couple questions. But we got about 10 minutes. Go ahead, Coco.
Nothing as good as hearing about the wife.
Right.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Wife, very quickly. So the wife never knows that he's a traitor until he's captured by the Vichy police, and they compel him to get on his knees and confess to her.
Oh, wow.
This poor woman is pregnant at the time. She flees to Marseille. She's given some money by the escape line. She gives birth to a son who dies because she is pretty much cold and abandoned. Wow. She eventually makes her way back to England, where she was from. No one ever hears from her again. But here's a twist in the story.
Okay.
She had 3 aunts living in Paris, and every one of them was mesmerized by Harold Cole. And one day, he convinces all of them to stay away from their apartments because he claims he has to hide British airmen in her apartments before he gets them to a meeting point in Paris. Mm-hmm. They all dutifully comply, and while they're gone, he robs them blind. Anything that's loose, he takes the money, the jewelry, everything. And that's what he lives on for the next several months, never telling his wife.
Wow.
What a guy.
Yeah, what a guy.
Oh, man.
What a guy.
Okay, who do you cast for that role?
Let's see.
He's got to be handsome, but he's got to be
some British
SOB in the back.
Yeah. Christian Bale. Christian Bale, he'd be good at it.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think
that would be perfect.
Bale could dress up like Harold Cole. And by the way, when you see pictures of him wearing the top hat, you can just see how much he just felt that he was British upper class.
Yeah, right, yeah. Weird.
Even though
and he's got the accent,
he was Cockney and
Okay. Coco, please. At least one question.
Well, all of this surrounds on the Monopoly game, Phil. Yeah. Explain to everybody about the pieces, the iconic pieces, and how important and how sought the top hat is as a player piece.
Yeah. So the classic Monopoly game contains 7 core pieces. They've changed more recently, but let's talk about the core game that existed for decades. Among those pieces, the race car, the Scotty dog, and the top hat are the 3 most cherished tokens. Monopoly players tend to cling to one token, and they always want it, if possible, when playing a game. In one of my prior books called Monopoly, Money, and You, I actually conducted a large poll among thousands of Monopoly players to find out what tokens they like the best and what qualities they associate with themselves and the tokens. And believe it or not that I can tell you this right now because the research is not in front of me, but every token has a personality attached. And so the top hat is really loved by people who want to adopt an air of elegance, who have a sense of, refinement, or at least would like to be viewed as refined. And that certainly summed up Harold Cole.
Wow. Yikes.
Sounds like it.
I've only played Monopoly once. You know that, Phil.
Oh, you have played it once now?
Yes,
You're
once.
admitting to once?
Right. I watched a couple games and I did play it once. Right. I lost.
I got
Beatles Monopoly.
I used to play Monopoly all summer long with my best friend.
Really? Yeah. See,
we'd have really long games.
Jill, did you play Monopoly?
Yeah, I love that. You got to have the hotels. You win by getting all those hotels.
Right.
Well, yeah. The strategy generally is to get hotels on either the oranges or the reds because they're landed on a lot, they're reasonable, they yield good returns, and players land on them often. Why? Because they have to go back to jail and then pass those properties.
Wow.
So
okay.
I've judged dozens of world and U.S. championships, and generally speaking, one of those 2 groups wins the game.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Wow, you've judged championship Monopoly games?
Yes. He's the world's star.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah, since 1980.
Jill, have you
I've always
played?
been partial to Marvin Gardens.
Yeah, I grew up playing 4 6-hour games.
Really?
And I just recently, I have 2 boys, ages 9 and 11, and we just kind of started playing probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I taught them the game, and
they're into it. Wow.
We dive in.
I need someone to teach me.
It's easy to get hooked.
Yeah. Well,
it's an intelligent game.
Yes.
You know, it takes intelligence. It makes you think. I enjoy that about it.
And also, it's negotiating. And for young children, this is the first exposure they get to the art of negotiating and how important it is to be able to work with other human beings. Mm-hmm. And a really good negotiator learns you want a slight advantage, because if you get a big advantage, you're the one who you've taken advantage of will never forget it and may never want to deal with you again. So slight advantage.
That explains watching my sons. Yes, it does.
That explains why.
Donald Trump played Monopoly once, lost, and threw the game out.
That's me.
Well, it can be frustrating. I mean, you can get really emotionally involved.
Mm-hmm, right. Well, speaking of emotionally involved, Phil, why don't you retell the story about how you were playing Risk with your wife and...
Oh, geez. Yes, I'm very fortunate that since that time I've had 30 good years of marriage.
Okay.
But my wife never played Risk, and of course typically women don't play Risk, but she never played it when she was younger. And one day, I guess we were been married about 15 years, and we were with some friends, and we all decided to play Risk. I explained the game to her, and while we're playing, I made a deal. I said, look, let's work together let's have an alliance. Let's defeat, whoever it was that was, annoying us. And the moment we finished eliminating that player, I broke the alliance with my wife and attacked her. Oh. And she was absolutely stunned. Is this the way you treat people in business? Is this what you do every day for a living? How can I ever trust you again? And I said, please, dear, this is not anything, like what I do in business, because it wouldn't work. I would be ruined if I did this, but it's a game, and it's okay to break an alliance.
Wow.
Well, we've never played again, and we've patched up the marriage.
Oh,
so.
good. Okay. Sounds like two good points. Good. Good for you. Yikes.
Yeah, do I have a couple of minutes just to talk about one other topic before we wrap up?
Yep.
Okay. So in addition to my life here in the world of Monopoly and researching for the last 30-some years the breathtaking, if you will, story of Monopoly's secret role in World War II, I also have an interest in science and astronomy, and I'm a member of a really terrific astronomy club in Gloucester, Massachusetts, the Gloucester Area Astronomy Club, known affectionately as GAC. And every month, GAC has a very good speaker. Last month's speaker was an expert on extraterrestrial life and how we're going to find it. Well, it so happens that next week, November 8th, I'm the guest speaker. Not saying I'm in the league of some of these outside experts, but there was a topic that really has fascinated me. I researched it, and I'm presenting it. And the topic is Einstein's block universe. Show of hands among your panel. Has anyone here ever heard of the block universe?
Looks like we have Einstein with us.
I didn't hear about it until maybe 10, 15 years ago. But the gist of it is, Einstein's theories actually predict that the three dimensions of space and the dimension of time can be aligned on a graph in what looks like a long block. And it begins on the left with the Big Bang, and it ends on the right with the Big Empty. In other words, it's all of time compressed into a block form. And here's the most astounding thing. All of time exists simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So every moment in time is like a thin slide or a thin frame of a movie picture. And therefore, the theory purports, and it can't be refuted, by the way, at least not yet, that if you can travel in the three dimensions of space, you can also travel in the fourth dimension of time. And it's rather mind-numbing what the implications are, and that's what my presentation is going to be about on November 8th. And I'm hopeful that I can get you the Zoom links, Mack, beforehand in the event you have an opportunity to post them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Anybody who might want to hear and see and I have a couple of music videos that enhance and entertain along the way.
Let me ask you the question that with time travel, there are paradoxes involved. And let me just ask you the question that we always seem to get asked. If you're able to travel in time, why weren't there, 5 million people at the crucifixion, let's say? Because that's where a lot of people would go.
According to the block universe theory, you can travel in time, but because the frame, if you will, that you're traveling back to is fixed, you cannot affect it. You need a multi-universe in order to change time by jumping into, and that prevents the paradox from ever happening where you can go back in time and kill your grandfather before you yourself invent a time machine.
Hitler's baby.
So that's one of the reasons why this block universe theory has a lot of advocates, is because it solves the problem of paradoxes.
Yeah, wow.
But you remember telling me many years ago, Mac, that you think that a lot of the UFOs that we spot are historians from the future coming back to observe what really happened.
Time tourists.
See, according to this theory, you can do it.
Wow, I must have been onto something there, Warren.
That accounts for a lot of lost socks.
Right, yeah. Wow. So,
and by the way, Einstein himself did not come up with it. One of his teachers did, but before he died, Einstein embraced this in the form of a letter completely.
Well, sounds good.
He was really
to me.
working hard on the unified field theory when he made the endorsement going back to the block universe before he died.
Yep.
So if I went back in time, I couldn't change some of my bets, like at the racetrack? Cannot do it?
No, unless doing so fulfilled the requirements of that frame in the movie, so to speak. In other words, you had to do this.
So I can't win.
You can't.
The interesting thing about the block universe is that it allows there to be loops. You can get caught into an endless loop where you build your time machine, go back, do whatever it is that you're going to do, fast forward back, and then go through that period and then return.
Wow. Sounds complicated.
So can you go back in time and change events?
And it doesn't take too long to explain it.
Right. But you cannot change events.
Of all things, it's also...
Right? You cannot change events.
Not in the block universe.
Right.
Okay, you can't swap your old girlfriend from 7th grade to another girlfriend.
That's another show. Yeah. Wow, okay. Wow.
Just thinking out loud.
Okay, that's good. That's what gets us in trouble sometimes. So listen.
That's what scares us, Juan.
Right. Why don't we take a commercial break now? Thank you, Phil, for telling us about the Top Hat affair. I like that title. Hopefully coming on a screen.
I have a quick question. One quickie for Phil.
Go ahead, please.
In the hierarchy of tokens, there was 10 tokens. Was like one the real low-rent bottom of the pack token?
The shoe.
Yeah. Well,
the
wheelbarrow, the thimble, the shoe, they're the ones that have the least advocates. And maybe that's one reason why they're all out of the basic game now and replaced by tokens that have more contemporary appeal. But we at Winnie Moves make the classic 1980 version, and if you want the authentic tokens that you grew up with, we make that one.
You get them.
Wow. Cool.
So what's the best way to, I mean, your games are sold everywhere and toy stores everywhere, but can people order them online as well?
Yeah. Amazon is actually everybody's biggest customer these days,
Sure.
and Amazon carries everything. And you can find our website, winning-moves.com. You can see everything that we make, and it's amazing how many wonderful games that you'll remember from your childhood or early adult years are available. And Amazon, Barnes & Noble in particular carry them.
Okay.
Lots of other online stores as well.
Juan just sent me a picture, gave me a picture. Thimble, is that your favorite one?
Yeah, my favorite's a thimble.
Because it looks like a shot glass turned upside down. The car was cool, though.
I have news for Juan. It's my favorite token, too, but you probably don't would not anticipate the reason why. Here it is.
Okay.
If you owe a rent in Monopoly, you do not have to pay it unless the person you owe it to asks for it. And there is a particular period of time when he can or she can do that before the rent is gone and can't be collected.
Okay.
It's basically your turn and the turn of the next person. After that, if they don't notice that a rent is due, you're off the hook. Well, if you have one of these little innocuous tokens like the thimble or the shoe, they're less likely to be noticed on the game board. If you're a more flamboyant token like the anti-aircraft gun or the race car
or the Cam Newton,
love Scotty, chances
Newton.
are, chances are,
as opposed to the Fig Newton,
noticed. And I've seen this in tournament play time and again, where players get distracted in making a deal and they don't notice one of these little tokens has landed and owes them a lot of money.
Wow.
And they get away with it.
It's the Trump
That's
maneuver.
incredible.
Go ahead, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the Trump maneuver.
Oh, okay.
Getting away with it.
Anyway.
My two favorite games were chess.
Yes, chess.
And
yes.
Candyland.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, with the occasional bump of chutes and ladders.
This is the yin and yang.
Well, that really goes from A to Z, doesn't it?
He grew up at Cambridge.
I came in second place in a chess tournament in the 5th grade between 5th and 6th graders.
Really, yeah? Where'd you place in the Candyland tournament?
You know what? They should have had one back then.
You would have won, I'm sure. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a commercial break?
You guys talked about how Monopoly helped win World War II already?
Yes. 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
What was the question?
Could you tell us real quick, how did Monopoly win World War II? Help us win World War II, Phil.
British military intelligence and later American military intelligence used the game to smuggle escape aids inside the game boards and send them to POW camps. And they were able to hide inside of the boards low-profile compasses, saws, escape maps, Reich marks, the correct type of paper to forge documents. The Germans never caught on. They never thought, well, first of all, they always thought the games distracted POWs from thinking about escapes, so they generally didn't inspect them as carefully.
Mm-hmm.
The head of the escape committee in each camp actually knew the games were coming because they had a secret means of communicating through what appeared to be ordinary letters home. So the whole scheme by both Secret Service agents was well thought out. It worked consistently throughout the war. So effective was it that both governments put a clamp on it for 40 years. The secret was maintained until 1985 and then only partially revealed.
Wow. And
I happen to know the people behind the British end of it, and that's why I was able to piece together the entire story.
And the maps were made of silk because...
Yeah.
The maps were made out of silk because...
Right, and some of these maps were fairly large, printed with immaculate detail, usually maps of Germany or France or whatnot, so that a POW who was on the run could pinpoint where he was and knew what roads to follow to get to freedom. They were made out of silk because, number one, they did not rustle at night. So if you opened one up in the woods, your pursuers wouldn't hear it. Number two, they were water resistant, so if you landed in a puddle or something, they wouldn't deteriorate. And number three, they didn't lose detail at the fold lines.
Nice. I mean, that's using your head. Coco, please. Coco.
I just wanted to make note, Phil gave out his site, but for those that are a little bit computer impaired, it's winning-moves.com. If you put winning-moves.com, you go to an X-rated site. I just checked it out. I'm trying to keep everything safe.
Check that out, Juan.
That X-rated site.
It's winning-moves, all one word.com.
Juan's typing madly. Hang on. Okay. All right. Why don't we do this?
Coco, what's that other site?
I'll talk to you offline there. I don't want to get any more FCC
commercial break. Right. We have enough.
For the other guys.
Okay. Here we go. Why don't we take a commercial break now? And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. How to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Wow, what a show we have for you tonight. So let me just go around the horn, as they say in the sports biz. Girls, the very famous Juan is here.
Hello, Mac. Hello, girls and guys. What is the horn?
We don't want to get into that, but we're dressed alike.
All right.
We're dressed alike.
Kind of.
Yeah. Why? You get that camera in my...
Sort of a little envy of you, I think, Mac. You know.
You don't have cameers in my house that I don't know about?
Tom Brady is yesterday's news. There
you go. Wow, you are fickle. You're fickle, brother.
You bet.
Up there.
But my Buccaneers gear is on order.
The Great White North. Commander Cobra from his compound, Coco. There he is, giving us the universal hand signal. Thank you, Coco.
Hello, Commander.
All right, 2-hour show.
Always great to be on the wing, Mac.
Thank you. Also, our national correspondent up there in Valley Creek, Michigan, Switchblade Steve Ward, Switchy.
Great to be here.
Bowl of Frosted Flakes, the small and big bowl.
Yep, heaping bowl of sugar frosted flakes.
You ever put bananas or anything like that? Ever put fruit on those bad boys?
No, you don't want to.
Okay, don't want to.
No, you don't want to. Change perfection.
I used to like it when you drain the box of Frosted Flakes, but there's the sugar dust on the bottom.
That's terrible. You like that?
Oh, yeah.
You're the only person.
So that last bowl of Frosted Flakes would have the extra sugar dust in it.
Yikes.
I was a kid then. I had high metabolism.
Yeah, it does explain a lot. Thank you, Clubb. Security Chief, Willy Clubb, thank you. Willie, how you doing tonight?
It's just another fun night tonight. There's just so much going on. I can't keep up with it all.
That's
but I'm trying my
join
best,
the club.
But it's fun.
Yeah, no time.
As much fun as a barrel of monkeys. Ever seen a barrel of monkeys?
I have, as it turns out. Remember that night down in the coma? Wasn't that what was going on down there? All right, listen.
Sometimes just one monkey can be.
That's all. It's like just one monkey's enough. One's enough.
Just maybe a trash can full of monkeys.
Let's get off the subject. Okay. Our good friend Jill Hansen is here. Jill, how are you doing? Jill?
Feeling great. Happy to hang out tonight.
Now, I introduced you at the top of the show, as they say, as a psychic, but you're not a psychic.
Yeah, I don't know where you guys got that.
Wow.
I really
Are you an
don't know
empath?
if it was a joke.
You're an empath.
I mean, but hey, if you want to start that rumor, let's
Yes.
do it and hope
Okay.
it comes true.
Okay, you're down.
After that remark about what was happening with the cat, you can be anything you want.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coco. Wow. For those
In case you missed it. I'm
in
not gonna
case you
repeat
missed it, yeah, you're going to have to listen
You'll
to the
have
show.
to rewind the tape, as they say in the
If they allow us to
trade.
keep it in. Annie, our good friend Phil Orbanes is with us. Phil is the creator and the brains behind Winning Moves, the company that makes a lot of the games, board games that you know and love, and including Rubik's Cube is also sold for them. Phil, how you doing?
I am doing very fine, and I'm delighted to be among this illustrious panel tonight.
Wow.
You betcha.
How about that? Phil is in Magnolia, Massachusetts, which is in the Gloucester area, but in a very, very Tony part of town.
You go up that stretch of 128, even though it's
Yes,
narrow,
you can tell.
you drive a little bit slower so you can get the full breadth and the fragrance of that part of Massachusetts.
Right.
In Route 128, you got Essex,
There you go.
Gloucester, Beverly
the secret.
Farms, Magnolia, all of those M towns. And
I got relatives there.
it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've got-
I have relatives in Magnolia.
They must be the rich
And
relatives.
I'm happy to tell everybody. I'm happy to tell everybody that the incredibly potholed street that I live off of, Hesperus Avenue, has been immaculately repaved with bike lanes.
Oh, is that right?
So now I have now there's no more danger of your wheel coming off if you come down here.
Well, don't you? I remember going. I know what you mean. It was a bumpy ride down your house, but isn't your house very near the rocks where the wreck of the Hesperus was written about?
Oh yeah, we're not very far from the island known as Norman's Woe, which was Longfellow's inspiration for the poem "The Wreck of the Hesperus," which is why the street is called Hesperus.
Oh, right, okay,
Which
yeah.
means Venus in morning sky, by the way, in Greek, Greek times. So
There you
it
go.
all ties together here. It's a big
Wow.
conspiracy.
Okay.
I'm getting a wicked good education. Holy
Speaking
smoke.
of-
Is there an exam after the show?
Yes, there is. Aren't you taking notes? Isn't that what you're doing?
Email your answers in. Yeah.
If there was an exam, the professor would be our next guest, Jim Frenkel, out there in Arizona. Jim, how you doing?
I'm good. I didn't realize how educational this was going to be.
Neither did we.
But I want to know: can they grow? Do they grow magnolias in Magnolia?
That's why the town got its name. It's as far north in New England that a magnolia tree will grow. And I happen to have one in my backyard, which blooms on Mother's Day.
Wow,
I hate to dispute that, but I'm in Maine, north of you, and I have a magnolia about 150 feet from where I'm sitting.
Really? Are you sure?
Oh, did I qualify by saying in Massachusetts?
There you go. Right.
Well,
Maine doesn't
here's
count.
the technical. I thought, Bill, you were going to go for it. When that claim was made, Maine was part of Massachusetts.
Oh,
Wow.
That long ago.
Okay, I feel better.
There you go.
I feel better.
That's a good qualification, too.
I should just say, you never know what's growing up in Coco's farm, if you know what I mean. It might look like a magnolia.
Never bring a rose to a magnolia battle.
There you go. That's on his T-shirt tonight.
I know.
Okay, so I've introduced everybody, right?
I think so.
Okay, we have a little bit coming up. Now, a couple weeks ago, we had the top 10 UFO movies that should be rebooted. Okay, do you remember back that far?
Actually, I was absent for that.
Oh, you
show.
were absent. You were on your secret mission. Okay,
yeah, I was with the dog.
I knew something was missing. Anyway, I can't remember totally the list, but it was like Independence Day. Just terrible movies that it's time to go in and do them all.
And fix it.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is some people think it's an iconic movie. It should be done over because it's not that great of a movie. Anyway,
why?
Really?
Why should it be done over? I don't understand.
Okay, number one.
How and
I will tell you because I wrote. I won't get into that. But first of all, for one thing, it was probably 5 or 6 years ahead of its time because if you really look at the special effects and what they tried to do, they could have done it easily 5 years later. Okay, there's a lot of people that their direction was just look up this way and have a look of wonder on your face, and we'll put everything in it. And it shows. Number two, Spielberg, to me, has directed two that. Wow, the thing is, it's a long show tonight. He's directed two of the best movies ever. Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List, but for two reasons. Not because of his direction, but the message in both of those movies. I think every high school senior should see both of those movies before you decide what career path you want.
Mandatory listening and watching.
Yeah, really. So anyway, but he's made a lot of crappy movies too. He doesn't know how to tell a story, and it's very sappy. When he doesn't know what to do, it's just kind of
Don't tell me that you didn't like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, come on. Raiders of the Lost Ark. We've gone into this before. Every time it's
riveting.
there.
You got to wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, but the heroes have nothing to do with it. If they weren't in the movie, the Nazis still would have brought the thing back to the cave and opened it up, and the demons would have killed them. There's
it was good box office to portray the Nazis as maybe smart, but a bunch of boobs in the same time.
There you go. That's how Hogan's Heroes.
What did you think of Duel?
Yeah,
Duel. Yeah, that was his first movie. Yeah, there's a lot of tension. Yeah.
And it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was clever. I mean, he did it under a strict
hell.
budget. It's about a guy driving through the desert, and there's a gas truck on his bumper, and he's after him, and he doesn't know why, and it is a really good movie. He did a really good movie called Sugarland Express with Goldie Hawn, which is a really interesting movie. But then he did Jaws, which Jaws is a terrible movie. I'm sorry, it's a terrible movie.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me tell you. Let me just tell you why. Okay. Now this is
tell everybody your credentials.
Yeah, right. 4 years of film school. So here we go. Ma, the money wasn't wasted.
He sat in the middle between Siskel and Ebert.
There you go.
He sat so close that you couldn't even see him.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. One. The mind of one. All right. Here we go. I'm just going to take one scene of Jaws. Okay. So it's towards the end, and the shark is attacking the boat, and Robert Shaw is up there, and also the other guy, the sheriff of the town.
Dreyfuss?
No, the other one. But
Robert Shaw from Jackie Brown fame.
Robert Shaw is up there, and also
Schneider.
What's his name again?
Roy Schneider.
Roy Schneider. Okay. Now what happens is Richard Dreyfuss has been in this movie the entire movie. Okay, he's kind of like the nerdy professor. He's been out there looking for the shark just as much as the rest of them have, but he's underwater when the shark attacks the boat with the sheriff, and he suddenly, where's he go? He goes and he hides for the entire battle between the shark and the boat. And then when it's over, he's, all of a sudden I can come out of my, crab hole or something. It's like, that is not a good story. I'm sorry. It's not a good story, but it's how you make a story. And that movie was supposed to come out at Christmas.
Well, technically, Mac, he was in the shark cage, which was separated when the shark
he got out of the shark
cage and stayed in it.
No, he got out of the shark cage. I might be wrong, but I think he got out of the shark cage. And when you see him reemerge, he's coming out from under, like an underwater cave
something.
Who knows? But the thing is that here's the problem not the problem, but you have to have that guy in the scene, in the battle. He just can't all of a sudden, disappear and come back at the end, no matter how he did it. You have to have.
I believe
you're missing the whole point.
Go ahead.
Mac, in the book, he died. In the book, he
who read the friggin' book?
And the reason that the other part that they left out, that they wanted to have him come back, was because he had an affair with Roy Scheider's wife in the book.
Right.
The shark?
Before they went out to sea. That's the reason why he died at sea.
Okay. All right. I had no idea there was a book. Anyway, so go ahead, Jim.
Mac.
Yes.
Mac, in the movie, being punished for being the intellectual.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. I don't know what that's like.
I'm sure that's what it is. The shark cage is basically purgatory. and then he's let out.
Really?
So it's a metaphor.
Well, it makes a lot of sense,
One big
James,
metaphor.
because the punishment for being the regular guy, the sailor who did battle in World War II with the shark, he gets killed. So I guess that all makes sense in
Wow.
the
Do we see the same movie?
elevated minds.
I'm talking about
Who knows?
Jaws
Who
6. So anyway, what we started on all this is because
Margaret Shaw was a survivor of the incident in Indianapolis.
That's right, which unto itself was amazing.
We started about this because we were talking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind and how Spielberg does not know how to do a story. We've talked about it many times. If you watch that movie, originally the movie was supposed to be a military officer who did not believe in UFOs, and he's converted throughout the movie, which is it's like an X-Files thing in a way. But they brought Richard Dreyfuss in, and a good part of that movie is him building mountains out of mashed potatoes and dirt and everything. And we kind of get it, but it throws off the pacing of the movie because Dreyfuss was a big star at the time. And that's why the movie is very uneven. And then you have that last hour of all the special effects where it's just like people looking up at lights and, make it look like, you're in wonder. The other thing, too, we brought this up maybe later on in the show, and this is well known because people have written about it. Everybody on that set, except Spielberg, apparently, was just coked out, okay? They spent millions of dollars on coke in that movie. It's true.
My goodness.
Kathleen Kennedy, who was the producer of that movie, who was big during the 70s, wrote a book, and she says that's where my $1 million, habit of coke started on because it was under a lot of pressure to get it done.
Yeah.
And they're all so anyway. I think it shows.
Really?
I think they should reboot that movie, do the original plot. Where it's a military officer who's just gradually, well, he has to believe his eyes type thing, and then they do meet the aliens. That's just me. So,
Mac, I would never want to go to a movie with you. You are such a downer.
Wow.
Thank you, Wendy. Oh, my God.
I just want to confess I've been doing white powder lately. I think they call it Miralax.
Oh, I thought it was the powder on the donut.
Doing lines with it. Why do you put it in your coffee?
Yeah, it's a regular thing for him.
Okay, so listen. The reason, it took a while to say.
Joey gets you 1-1, but I do, baby.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
That's the important thing. All right, so listen. So the reason we got
that was a money shot right there, buddy.
Was that we're going to talk? So we got letters, fan letters. Well, not fan letters.
Yep.
Where they said, well, there are sci-fi movies out there. Why didn't you mention them? So on and so forth. But we did have an alternate list, and these are 5 UFO movies that should just not be rebooted, not rebooted, as it turns out.
They should just burn the film cans and off we go.
It's been done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in most cases. So, Jill has been nice enough to read off the list for us. So, film number 5. These are UFO movies that should not be rebooted.
All right. Number 5, War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds has been rebooted, as it turns out. But
unfortunately.
Right. The first War of the Worlds was in the early 50s, and it's a great movie. It's just a cool sci-fi movie.
It was the late 50s.
Yeah, and the special effects in it are just so 50s and everything. It's a good movie. Gene Barry is in it. And then
Gene Barry, yeah.
They remade it with Tom Cruise.
How can you go wrong there, right?
Well, it's only a 2-hour show. It's once again, it's Spielberg, and there's a lot of good scenes in that movie. This is War of the Worlds, a reboot. Tom Cruise is in it. He's trying to get his kids from Brooklyn to Boston, as it turns out, Cambridge, as it turns out. Okay, where the aliens, for some reason, passed it by.
The only neighborhood left standing.
Right, exactly. The world is
that was beautiful.
The world is destroyed, and they go to Cambridge at the end to return the kids, and there's a few leaves on the street. That's it. Everything else is in order.
The guy with the push
Chelsea's gone, but Cambridge is still there.
He was late that day. You're right. And they come out and they had just done the Times crossword puzzle. Oh,
exactly.
Here's the grandkids.
Yep.
Okay.
Bought a
packet
of butts.
And he stole the scene from the Searchers. He stole the scene from the Searchers. At the end of the Searchers, he returns the daughter, and then John Wayne just walks on in the
nothing wrong with stealing a scene or an idea once in a while.
We'll steal the scene that not everyone in the world knows about. You know what I mean?
That's what makes it cool.
No, it isn't.
They say, "Oh man, remember that in the movie?"
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Not everybody in the world knows the Searchers.
Hey, listen. Well,
the end of War of the Worlds,
the film nerds, though.
Gene Barry and Ann Robinson played the parents.
Yeah, they were good.
There's
a lot of tension. Anyway, okay. So, War of the Worlds, it's already been made twice.
Also, in the original War of the Worlds movie, the B-49 Flying Wing delivers the atomic bomb.
That's right.
It's a huge throw to everything that was California. Caltech is mentioned.
Yes.
Northrop Grumman, which is Northrop. It's a much more classically done sci-fi movie. Good adaptation.
Yes.
Of H.G. Wells. But my biggest complaint with Tom Cruise's version of it is they completely changed the delivery of the aliens. It was done with this light and lightning bolt stuff. They were underneath the ground already.
Yes.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Wells did not write that. That's not. That wasn't the book.
I agree.
Go ahead. And and Clubb, go ahead, please. Clubb's a big
I
fan.
just want to say I have the radio version of that with Orson Welles.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's a classic. I love listening to that.
Right.
Shut the lights off.
In the
have a nice drink and
it really scared people
Scared
too.
the
That's
tar out of
amazing.
1938
well,
Halloween.
of course it did because people even had heart attacks.
Right.
Oh, people died.
People died.
Even
Yeah.
though they made an announcement before the broadcast. Apparently, some people missed that part of it, and they were calling police and everything else. But
let's just real
anyways,
quick.
if you ever want to enjoy that movie, just get it in the audio version. Really, to me, it's a classic.
It's quite vivid.
What happened was Orson Welles was a guy who used to put on theater on the radio. In 1938 and Halloween, they put on this kind of fictional adaptation of War of the Worlds, where they said that aliens had landed in New Jersey. Now they said it at the beginning of the show, but what they did, one of the things I think that hooked a lot of people was they built in these things where there's these violinists orchestra play, and the guy comes on and goes, "We have a news bulletin now," and they go to Orson Welles, and he makes it seem like it's a news. But they said before that, this is a fictional account, and they broke in during the thing and said this is a fictional account, but people just heard it. Like panic took over, and all of New Jersey was sure that aliens had landed in New Jersey for some reason, but that's what made him famous.
My dad was 6 months old. Living in New York. Neighbor came to the apartment and said to my grandfather, "Artie, get the kid. We've got to get out of here.
Yes.
Aliens have landed in New Jersey. Lights, cars,
there?
the whole 9 yards."
Oh.
Too bad the casino wasn't up then.
There you go. That's why they were there. Anyway. Next movie, please, Jill, I guess.
Sure. So number 4, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
The Day the Earth
Absolutely.
has also been rebooted.
Agreed.
Right.
Terrible remake.
The remake was
Terrible remake.
Yeah. The first.
Forget the remake.
Right. The first movie was in the early 50s with Michael Rennie.
Yeah.
And
I saw that in Catholic camp.
The special effects. It's an odd movie.
Get the heck with. Yeah.
There's a lot of sci-fi at the beginning, and there's a lot of sci-fi at the end. But the middle is this drama about Michael Rennie, who's an alien, and he comes and he kind of lives amongst the humans, so he can get some formula to get on his flying saucer and go back. But he has this robot named Klaatu, right? And he is this guy who can destroy anything, whatever.
No.
What happened?
Gort.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Klepto, yeah.
But he was like this robot fascist, right? Who, if you don't do it, I mean, that's the message that Michael Rennie, addresses to.
The robots were the badass.
It's like if you don't do what we tell you, bada bang, you're going to get the ray. Okay, so but it's a very compelling movie. It's slow. It's in the 50s, but it's still kind of like not an iconic movie, but a good. Just sit and watch it. It's good. It's compelling. Then they remade it with what's his name? The kid.
Reeves.
Yeah, the kid who lost his car. Yeah, just why are you doing this? And so leave the original alone. You can't. You're not going to improve on the original one.
Agreed.
No, it was a great movie. Robert Wise made that movie. It was terrific.
Mm-hmm. Big time director in the 50s. Okay,
and the music, the theremin music.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The thing in Good Vibrations. Yeah. We should do a story about theremin himself.
Yeah.
Talk about an interesting guy. Jill, next movie, please.
Number 3, Mars Attacks.
Okay, this is the top 5 movies that should not be rebooted. This movie, now I know Switch and I were going to start taking swings at each other. This is one of the biggest wastes of time. When did it come out? Jack Nicholson is in it, and it's just like stupid. It turns out it's
major stupid.
It's like based on the Trash Can Kids or something, isn't it, Switchy?
The top trading cards.
What's the name?
Very colorful and violent-looking trading cards where the Martians are attacking the Earth.
Okay.
The cards came first. That's right.
Cards came first. They made a movie out of trading cards. Okay, terrible.
I had the cards.
Do you really? Yeah, I mean,
I had them.
What did they give Jack Nicholson? $1 million to show up for about 5 minutes in it? And he's nuts.
I know.
It was really awful.
Terrible. Switchy, you going to defend it or no?
But the drama with Slim Whitman?
Slim Whitman and exploding heads of Martians. I used that line so many times for 10 years. When I would call into the ship or control tower, and they were flubbing the answer, they couldn't get the thing back. I would turn and say on the radio,
"Deploy the
sounds
Slim
like
Whitman."
a Martian and a Slim Whitman song playing right now."
Yikes! At the controls of a chopper at this point. Yeah. Okay. All right, Slim Whitman. I don't know.
Poor Slim Whitman, though. He got a lot of abuse.
He's a country music guy.
It wasn't that bad.
He was, according to the commercial, the #1 male singer in England from 1968 to 1972.
Wow. He beat out Frank Ifield?
And he sold albums on TV and infomercials.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that for years and years and years. He did that. Maybe the 50s he was. But, I mean, in those years in England, that's when you have a lot of, the Beatles are still around.
But that's when they said, thank God for the Beatles, because Frank Ifield was kicking ass with I Remember You.
Yeah.
No one's head exploded during a Beatles song.
Well, that's
something
true.
else did, though. That's another story. So, why don't we go to
But that's not a remake.
Yes.
But Mack,
Yes.
that's not a remake.
No, we're saying do not reboot Mars Attacks, because the first one was bad. Why go back to that? That's what we're saying. Sorry, switch.
Yes, it was. You're absolutely right.
Next movie, UFO movie not to be rebooted, please, Jill.
Number 2, Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1 and 2.
Okay, I'm going to jump on this real quick. Let's go Invasion of the Body Snatchers 2, which is a reboot. Okay, this should not be rebooted.
Terrible.
Donald Sutherland was in it, and a few other people. It was made in the 70s. And it's just when special effects were starting to get kind of creepy. But for most part of it, it's a human drama. And the whole idea is that these, aliens or whatever are taking over people's bodies, and they're turning out zombies that look exactly like the people are. Okay, now that's how the reboot was. And the reason that the reboot sticks in my mind is that, like I said, there's some special effects in there that still stay with me. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but there's one where a guy and his dog get mixed up, let's say.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in it. Remember in The Fly where Vincent Price goes, help me. It's like that. And it's scary. It's scary. So anyway, but the first one, made in the 50s, was just it's a thinly veiled kind of propaganda film against the communist invasion. Right. And you can't top that. I mean, you can't remake that. Right. If you put a laugh track to it, maybe. But so leave that alone. The first one is and the first one's scary, and the first one is, has tension in it.
Very effective.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I was a young boy when I saw it on TV. The little boy in the movie was like my age, and I identified with him, and I was very scared.
Yeah, it was a scary
The line
movie.
that sticks with me is when he kisses Dana Winter, and he says, "I was never so terrified in my entire life."
Wow.
Because she's turned.
Oh, she's turned. I thought because she was so hot. So,
Pod.
But
He's now a pod person, yes.
And then at the end, Kevin McCarthy, who is someone who you've seen in a lot of movies, but he's kind of like the lead male guy in this.
Yeah.
There's a traffic jam at the very end, and I heard that they put this on after they had finished the rest of the movie, where he's running through the traffic going, they're here, as if the communists are. I mean, there's no other real interpretation of it. So, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
The government heavily subsidized that movie.
Did they really? Yeah, I was
yes, they did.
Yeah. So
and
they should not be number
that line that you talked about was what they wanted put in at the end, where he's basically the modern Paul Revere saying, you've got to look, the communists are all around us. They want to be us. They want to look like us. They want to wear our clothes. They want to live our lives, but they're soulless.
For the most
Doesn't
part,
he say
he was wrong.
also, you're next?
You're next? Yeah, it could be. That sounds like it.
Yes, you're next. You're in danger. Right.
Yeah. That scared the hell out of me.
But for the most part,
one of those trucks get away, and it's full of the seed pods.
That's right.
Yes.
The original novel by Jack Finney, actually had a happy ending.
Really? How'd they tie a bow on
attack
that?
a field of the seed pods. They set them on fire, and they just kind of go back into space.
Yep.
Wow. Huh.
They live happily ever after.
Wow. Well,
I still have the cover art for that book.
Well, huh. Okay. So, Jill, are we at the last number one movie not to be rebooted?
We are down to number 1.
Okay.
Yep. Number 1, Signs.
Signs. Okay. Signs.
Oh.
Signs is close to a perfect
Never
movie.
seen it.
You've never seen that,
I
Jim?
think it's probably one of the best ones
Amazing.
out there.
One of the best
It's
movies.
amazing.
And there's a lot going for it. There's a lot going against it.
Possibly be. You cannot redo it.
You can't redo it.
Redo it, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah.
Right. Here's
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, the most powerful thing about that was the existential, I don't know, I want to say crisis that it put me in, but just it felt so real.
Right.
And it made me wonder, like, what if this really could happen?
They take
it centers around a family.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so there's a really powerful
And
human
everything
element.
is connected.
Right.
Everything is connected. Everything that happens, everything that goes on around us, we're all connected. It's connected.
Yeah.
The bad things that happen is how to come. The ending is happy the way it actually turns out to be happy.
Here's what's they had a number of things going against it, as it turns out, and they overcame. Number one, Mel Gibson is like the lead guy in it, and this is like a couple of years before he gets stopped by the highway patrol and turned out to be, a real, so.
Yeah, but you didn't know that was going to happen. I mean,
no. But when you now I watch
in the block universe, we did.
Yeah,
in the block universe, we did.
Where were you? Where were you? We were talking. So anyway, but he's kind of
everybody loved Mel Gibson back then.
No. Let's say okay, maybe you did, but anyway, but you couldn't. He's really good in it because I don't want to give anything away, but he plays a minister in it, and then he has this family. And Joaquin Phoenix was the other guy in it, right?
He's
was
good.
it Joaquin? He was just nuts in it, and then
he's great. He plays the brother to perfection.
Right, and what they do is there's a scene in it where you have one little glimpse of what the aliens look like kind of like halfway through the movie, and the way they do it, it's like someone had a Super 8 movie camera at a kid's birthday party in Brazil, and all of a sudden when the aliens walks in, it's one of the best scenes ever, because you wait and then bada bum, you see it. It's a great movie. Jim, I cannot believe you have not seen Signs. Cannot believe
it's just an accidental timing.
I'm going to put another pin in the voodoo doll.
It's a very strange mixture of science and mysticism.
Yes, right.
Well, Jim, I got to say, if the cage in Jaws was purgatory, you're in Signs purgatory till the next time we see you. Better have this squared away the next time we all get together.
Yeah,
I'll do the best I can.
I'm going to send the DVD to you.
If I get an address, I will get a copy of the movie sent to you.
So we
got to mention the soundtrack as well.
Mack has my address.
I do have his.
Who does the soundtrack switch?
Very picky about letting it out.
It's a secret.
I would love to get a copy of it. I would be very appreciative.
It's in the mail.
Who did the soundtrack switch?
Switchy. Who did the soundtrack?
James Newton Howard. He's done a lot of M. Night Shyamalan films. And it was just superb.
Right, yeah.
Good as a standalone soundtrack as well.
That was M. Night's. That was his high point, and The Sixth Sense was his high point. Sixth Sense is a great movie, and but then he went downhill from there. He's like Orson Welles, one right down the old.
What, M. Night?
Yeah,
you don't like him?
No, he just he lost his shine after he did a movie called The Village, which is like oofa. You just don't want him.
Help me.
Yeah, and
The Village actually looks pretty good compared to the one where the trees are sending out the chemical that kills everybody.
Oh, The Happening. I love
Happening.
that movie.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
I like Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. I watched that twice, and I still don't get it. I know people who love that movie.
It's a thinking man superhero movie.
That's why I didn't get it. So. Okay, so listen, we're going to take we're going to take a soft break here. Okay, we're going to go right into Coco's report on secret weapons. I just want to remind everyone you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-File show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. And despite what our fan let us say, I'm going to introduce everyone really quick. Okay, really quick. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, girls, the famous one is here. Very famous.
Very famous.
Okay, Coco is here.
On the wing, Mac.
Switchy.
On the wing.
Switch.
Never runs out of fuel. He's on the wing constantly.
The chicken one.
Great to be here.
Switch. Yeah, okay. Our security chief is here. Whitey Bulger. I mean, the Willy Clubb.
All hands above deck.
Don't you have a costume nearby there? Weren't you going to show us what you're going to dress up as for Halloween? No, not that. Never mind. He didn't get the memo. Okay. Also, our favorite empath, as it turns out. Jill Hansen. Jill, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
I love the glasses. Love those glasses, man.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we want to get glasses like that there, JJ? Look at those.
Yeah, I think my wife would dig glasses like that.
Also with us, our good friend, Phil Orbanes, the owner of Winning Moves, the creator, and also
Great to be here.
Manufacturer of a lot of game boards and stuff that you know and like, Risk included, also the Rubik's Cube, which I've never sold. Also, joining us for some reason, maybe because we have to talk about it, something after the show, is my editor/agent, Jim Frenkel, out there in Arizona, where it's cold today. Jim, how you doing?
In the desert. Here we are.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm very good.
We see you on screen, and all I can say is if Einstein and Roger Daltrey had a baby, he'd look like Jim. Doesn't he kind of look a little bit like both?
Well, look, I can. All
now
I
that
can
you mention
tell
it,
you
you
is
look closer to Walter
I've been needing
Daltrey.
to get a haircut for the last month.
Okay.
And this Friday, I am finally getting.
Really? Yeah. You're going to get it all shaved off? You're going to get it to go bald or what? You look like a serial killer.
It's just going to be brought down to manageable size.
Okay. Good for
you.
Did you want to bring up?
Daddy, get yourself a baby grand piano and a candelabra,
yes,
buddy.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, so anyway, we're back, and we're going to talk a little bit about, Coco and I have been talking about this off air for a while. We're always interested in military X-Files, as it turns out, and especially secret weapons. And how do you know what secret weapons are if they're secret, you know? But these days, it seems to me, and I'll just, real quick, the stealth fighter, F-117 stealth fighter, isn't really a fighter, it's an attack plane, but it was the first production plane, let's say, that, you know, did not show up on radar, in quotes. And they were secret for 10 years before they were kind of revealed to the public. But I think these days, I don't think that the timeline is that long. Am I wrong there, Coco?
Well, it depends, Mac. There's a companion story we'll talk in later episodes of the show that timeline might be maybe happening around us again. We've talked about the replacement of the SR-71. Obviously, there's a couple aircraft out there flying that's replaced it because of the secrecy that's gone on. So one wonders if there's an SR-72 and what's happening. But the 117, because of what it represented and how it was brought out, is still remains probably one of the most interesting aircraft. I direct people that are really interested in this particular aircraft to pick up the book Skunk Works. It is probably one of the best ones you can read on it. And the way that they sold this, the way Skunk Works sold this aircraft out to the military, especially the Air Force, was looking for this capability, is that they'd walk in and they'd take a ball bearing, a fairly small one, about the size of a marble, and roll it across the desk to the general or the person that was they were trying to impress, and say, that's the radar signature of your airplane when we build this airplane. And they actually had to build a couple prototypes of it to prove that it worked, and it did. Lockheed Skunk Works crunched the numbers. They had a mathematician that came up with a way of doing it, and the way they did it was with angular displacement. That's the reason why it looks the way it is. It's a series of triangles, reflected the energy away, and what they didn't want reflected away or wasn't going to be reflected away was absorbed by the paint. That's kind of important what I'm going to report tonight. The 117, when I was in the Air Force, was rumored. People knew something was flying. They had a squadron of A-7 aircraft that were painted all black. They were left out in the visible parts that you could see at places like Nellis Air Force Base. And as Mack has often talked about in the past, they would fly one of them in front, the 117 would fly in the middle, and the other A-7 would fly in the back of this formation. The reason they did this is so that they could figure out where the 117 was, because it didn't show up on radar. Wow. And that's how they were able to track it when they were doing the exercises and the training of it. Obviously, it only flew at night. It did not fly during the day for the majority of the beginning of its career. But one of the things that was interesting when I was in Europe, stationed there, we started to talk. The airspace below 500 feet was very crowded. And if the war was going to go on, jets were going to be operating well below 500 feet. They were going to be operating as low as down to about 300 feet to 200 feet. And us in helicopters were going to be below them. Hopefully the 50-foot separation was going to work, because the only way that they were going to be able to defeat radar detection on what they call integrated air defense, this is what the Soviet Union had demonstrated during Vietnam and during Syria and Egypt's sales thereafter, that's how they would protect the airspace, with an incredible array of radars and then intersecting fields of fire of missiles and ground artillery. All of a sudden, the United States starts talking at secret meetings that we're going to be cruising in around 5,000 feet. And of course, the Allies are going, how is that? How are you going to possibly survive that? Well, the reason they could is because the plane wasn't showing up on radar. And when Desert Storm came, it proved to the world that that technology, the radar, had been defeated, and defeated decisively. And if you remember correctly, right after Desert Storm, that's pretty much when the last of the Soviet Union collapsed, because they did not long have the ability to defend themselves, and they could never go on the offense. So the 117, it serves for about 10 to 15 years, and everybody sees it, starts to see it at air shows. It shows up, and it flies around at a few places, and next thing you know, it's obsolete, and they go away. They go into very specialized storage out in the Nellis complex, Tonopah, to be more exact, and not much is heard of them again. They have a significant piece of history. A couple of them have showed up at museums. The latest one is one that was restored and brought to the Reagan Museum, who's the president who really was responsible for bringing it to fruition. And then over the last 5-6 years, everybody starts to report seeing 117 flying again. So in two instances, what it appears to be is that some portion of the fleet is back flying again, and it appears that there's two roles. It's all but known for certain that a small set of Nighthawks was flying in Syria on this latest series of operations that went on in Syria, defeating ISIS as well as the operations against the Syrian government in support of the rebels. So the aircraft obviously still has some very important capabilities to provide there. So there seems to be a resilient strike role that's still going on with it, in addition to its operational test and value. They still put the plane up to help test and provide capabilities to detect it, things that are designed to defeat stealth capabilities or how to exploit it. So the aircraft was still flying doing that work. And in the last 90 days, what we've had occur now is 117s flying during the day and showing up at places like Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, which once was a Naval Air Station where Top Gun used to be based. Now Top Gun is at Fallon in Nevada. That's in the northern part of the state of Nevada. And it's being used as an aggressor aircraft for a variety of exercises for ships as well as other aircraft. And one of the recent pictures that was taken, because it's no longer a highly classified secret airplane anymore, it's no longer in that black area of concealment, it had a new coat of paint. A couple of them that were out flying looked pretty ratty. They looked pretty beat up because the paint, obviously very expensive, very, very sensitive, and if the plane crashes, you have to be ready to figure out how you're going to recover a crashed airplane very quickly or obliterate it, because you don't want the technology to get away, to have a way of breaking down the chemical compound on that paint. So at sporting a new paint or updated paint job, it has more traditional markings on it, to include marking letters that say it's out of Tonopah, which is the first time that I think anybody has ever seen that happen before for an airplane of this kind of background. And it's out supporting aerial and naval exercises on the west coast of the United States, working with aircraft carrier groups, surface ships that provide the air defense around the carrier. One can add to that. And I would suspect that there's probably some other activities going on with other layered and integrated exercises that are going on. If the communist Chinese are purported to have stealth technology, it appears that we're probably preparing our forces for ways to detect, intercept, and make it work. So I strongly urge folks, grab the book, Skunk Works. It's an incredible story about what went behind in producing of that. It's probably one of the best books you can get on the subject, and it centers around this particular airplane.
Can I add a comment?
Yes, please, Phil. Absolutely, Phil.
Yes, okay, Phil. It's relevant. Many years ago, my neighbor was a lead aircraft engine designer for General Electric, and I had met him a few months after he traveled all the way to Dayton, Ohio, to see the 117, because his team built the engines having no idea what the airframe looked like that their engines were going to be part of.
Yeah, that's right.
Not uncommon for the secrecy level that went on. And this is where one of those things where Lockheed really, especially Skunk Works, really, really excelled at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they did.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Johnson started that outfit. He started World War II, and the legacy that he has is just unbelievable, because when you look at the capabilities of separating out that kind of talent, he didn't care about anything but results, and he wanted people to just exercise their talent to the fullest, and he didn't believe in the BS and red tape.
Yes.
And he was loved and he was hated within his organization, and the same for the rest of it, because he got results.
Right.
The P-80, the Shooting Star, the first really functional jet fighter that we produced that actually worked, was because Johnson could have probably pulled it off during World War II for lack of the engine technology that we did not have in the United States. That was a German and British major operation at that time. But he was able to turn these things around and make that kind of stuff work. And that's the absolute vision of
Kelly Johnson.
What goes on.
Right.
One quick thing, Mac, I want to close with.
Go ahead.
If I can.
Yes.
listeners, if they have the capacity and the time, the wingmanfoundation.org.
Wow.
All one word. We've had a series of crashes recently. The Wingmen Foundation is a group of aviators that turn about 98% of the money they receive into supporting the squadron, the families, and the needs that fall in between the cracks when there's a mishap.
Yeah.
So if family members need to get to a place or if squadron members need transport, these guys and gals have stepped in. Great organization. And since Mack is a big supporter of veterans and military,
yes,
from his books to everything that we do on the show, I'd like to give a quick plug to the Wingmen, wingmanfoundation.org. I do a lot of support with them. Great group of guys and gals.
Super duper. Yeah. We should also mention Homes for Our Troops. Homes for Our Troops. Just Google them. They give homes completely paid, mortgage paid to wounded veterans from the Afghan and Iraqi wars. Also, so before we start the plugs, let's just go around the table and thank everybody. First, Jim Frenkel, thank you for joining us. Jim, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, you want to plug anything? What do you have to plug? What do you want to talk about? What do you have to promo?
Well, I've got one of our clients has a book just about to come out. It's called The Lady Brewer of London. It's a great historical novel set in the 15th century England. She's a wonderful writer from down under. She does exquisite research, but great characters, great stories, and it's really very cool. Coming from William Morrow in about 2 weeks.
Wow, I see a PBS series
Karen
in the works.
Brooke.
Yeah, I could see
yes, we have actually. There's film interest in it. There's
really,
film
yeah?
TV interest in it.
Wow,
nice.
Yikes!
Let's get his autograph now before it.
Yeah, really now.
It starts costing us.
Thank you, Jim. We'll look forward to it. Also, thank you, Phil Orbanes. Thank you for joining us, Phil, once again, and educating us.
Well, it's been a great evening for me, and I learned as much as I hope I imparted.
Hey, you were going to
very cool stuff.
You were going to play us out. Remember, you're going to play us out on your keyboard there.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about that separately in an email.
Really?
I got an idea.
Oh, okay, super duper. Okay, thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Clubb. How do we look at how Clubb's dressed? Oh,
I love it.
Sorry, is there an E in Whitey?
No, Clubb had to leave. I'm filling in for Whitey.
Okay, he looks good from getting hit with a bag of nickels.
Yeah, he should be in the. Is he in the Actors Guild as an official stand-in for
We need to get
the next
one of
Whitey
Phil's
Bulger
Ouija
movie?
boards and get it over to Whitey and see if we can make contact.
See if we make contact.
Well, Mack's got one.
That's right. I did get one. I'm afraid to open it. Thank you.
I bet he could knock on some doors.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And people would be like having heart attacks.
Do it in Southie. They'll go, quick, get inside. Get inside, quick.
He came back from the dead.
Down on Castle Island. Yeah. He should walk around Castle Island, freak everyone out. It's real inside, local. So anyway, thank you very much, Clubb, for joining us and reading all our families. Okay, thank you.
Just a wonderful night. Wonderful.
Okay. So, and now we're down to Switchy. Switchy got the... now he's got the glasses on and also a visual of a train wreck. Thank you, Switch, for continuing that tradition.
My pleasure.
Do you want to plug anything? You?
Well, the Mothman Legacy, which is produced by Small Town Monsters, which is a sequel to the Mothman of Point Pleasant documentary.
Yes.
I am in there periodically as a talking head.
Really? Yeah.
Cool.
It's very well done.
We'll look for that. When's it released?
It's got a great lighting and...
great lighting. Okay.
You see me pontificating and making hand gestures. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're not watching
gestures.
him tonight. Yes, right. No hand gestures. That's the new rule, as it turns out. Okay. Okay, good for you.
Pontificating and hand gestures.
Well, that might be allowed. You never know. Thank you, Switchy, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Switch.
We'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure.
Okay. Coco, parting is such sweet swallow. Okay.
Easy for you, Site.
And I guess we're going to say we're going to say a retro goodbye to Jill, okay, who had to leave us, I guess. But thank you, Jill, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jill.
And for sticking with us as long as you possibly could. Juan, thank you once again for joining us.
You're welcome. I live for this.
Yeah, I know. I get postcards from you saying that.
That's right.
So until next time, we should say we're a podcast now. Just go to...
go anywhere now.
Go anywhere, really. Just Google
us.
Yeah, Google.
Google Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. You get a list of about 10 podcasts.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's really interesting how... and Alexa, of course, if you say to Alexa, play Mack Maloney's Military X-Files, and they do it.
Alexa wants to date us. That's how...
Is that really?
Close we are to that platform.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's another
Double.
I got first dibs, though.
Okay, fine with me.
That's right.
Thank you.
Just for those that can't see, his hands are above the table, so everything is cool.
My hands are in my
The
pocket.
entire show, my hands have been above the table. No cats around me or anything.
Nothing. Well, on that note, why don't we say thank you to everybody? Okay, I see. Yeah, okay. It looks like you're holding them up to be cuffed. Assume the position. Thank you, Jim. Thank you to everyone, and thank you for everyone listening. And until next week, next time you hear us, this is Mack Maloney for the entire gang saying be safe, be happy, and
bye-bye.